According to the Pew Foundation, 40% of children in America today are being born into a single family home. And, to me, these women are the most amazing women in the world. Truth of the matter is, it's so difficult to raise a child. My wife and I have raised six in a combined family where two parents love each other, where two parents are committed to their education, where two parents are committed to their success. I can just not even imagine what it's like as a single mom trying to make things work at the same time, raise a child, come home, cook, clean, on and on. The result of this brokenness is that these children born into the single family home are 6 times more likely to end up in poverty. And they are much, much more likely to be incarcerated or be involved in violent crimes. And why? Why is this phenomenon going on? And I believe, and this is a message that I recently heard that just resonated so much with me with a lot of things that I've talked about, and it is that the brokenness of the modern romance. In the old days, we would just go date, meet someone, get to know that person, not be influenced by social media as to what romance really looks like. Recently I heard that one of the reasons a lot of men are not being in any rush to be married is because of their addiction to pornography. Pornography satisfies a sexual desire that is not real. And at the same time, it does satisfy that desire and that fantasy world, and it ends up being catastrophic. But truth of the matter is, statistics show that men are more likely to get married in their 30s, and many of them are not even in a rush. Many of them would even say they have no desire to get married. When I was coming up, truth is, about 21, 22, you start thinking about getting married. You graduate from college and you have a job and you get married and you begin to raise a family. That's not the case today. I'm not saying that if you're single and if you're in your late 20s or whatever, you're not getting married because you have any type of addiction. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying what statistics say. But the fact is that modern romance is broken. Our modern romance, our framework for modern romance is influenced by, television. It's influenced by social media. It's influenced by influencers, by peers. And it's a framework that is strictly based upon performance and options. You got options. There's 100 dating apps, and you can go in those dating apps, sign up for many of them, get a bunch of hits, and therefore all of a sudden you have this array of option of women or men that you can date. And when one fails you one night, there's another one on standby. It's really, really a sick system. And at the same time, I have seen great successful marriages happen in dating apps. But the interesting thing is, going back to that framework of what social media and society tells us that is real. We've seen the studies of how social media has devastated young girls by showing them that the way to look is this ideal model that is non-existent. As a matter of fact, most of those models and supermodels that you see are the result of tons of makeup. I know. I woke up next to many of them that did not look the way they looked on that magazine that morning. So that who's influencing us is totally wrong. So where should we get our influence? Where should we create a framework for romance? And this message that I heard is a Hebrew word called hesed. And hesed is a word where it shows how God relates to us and how we are to relate to others. See, is in this hesed word that is found throughout the entire Bible, whether you believe the Bible is the word of God or not, but just look at that word and study that word and see what that word really implies, and if it fits, wear it. But basically, what is best for us is not hesed. Hesed is really based upon what is best for others. I tell you how, for the first time when I wrote that blog, I'm 22 years old. I'm making $3 million a month. I date the most beautiful women in the world. I have millions of dollars worth of cars, jets, yachts, mansions all over the place, and I want to die. How? Because I found out that, when society tells you the American dream is that when you reach that summit, when you make all that money, when you have all them women, all those cars, all those possessions, you're going to be happy. truth of the matter is not there. Very few people reach that zenith to find out that that's not there. I found out through joy when I lost it all, when I forfeited over 60 some odd million dollars to the government, went to prison, dead broke, not knowing if I would ever see my family alive or ever walk my daughters through the aisle. But why did I find meaning? Because I took the focus off Jorge Valdes and I began to put the focus on others. See, and that's what the Hesed word is. It is not what is best for us, but it's what really is best for others. You know, if you look at, and also a principle that I teach about win-win, if you go into any business transaction or any relationship and you always with the goal that there's a win for that other person, there will always be a win for you. But the interesting thing is that now you create a friendship or relationship that will be lifelong. I mean, all the people I ever dealt with in my young life, legitimately, that are alive will still deal with me. Why? Because I always look at things win-win. And then I talk about how in the cartel, I always made sure that if whatever I did created a win for others, it would be a win for me. So when I allowed Pablo Escobar and Gacha to come in on my loads, see, no longer did they look at me as an enemy that's bringing in tons of cocaine into the United States. Without them, all the profit would have been me. No, now, because in my loads, they are coming in and they're bringing theirs in my routes. Now, they're my cheerleaders. So win-win creates a cheerleader instead of an enemy. See, the modern foundation for love is based strictly on performance, on options, but the truth of the matter is that that's a failing, construct. True modern romance should be blessed upon a promise and a commitment. I'm going to celebrate this year my 27th anniversary. 29 years married to the most beautiful woman God ever gave me. I wake up every morning, and I look at her and I'm in love. It's amazing. Because, I dated women that, according to society, were a lot more beautiful. And I couldn't stand them. But you know why? Because my framework for love right now is not based upon what my wife performs or any options that I may have outside of my wife. No, my modern framework for love now is based upon the Hesed, Hesed word. That unconditional word of God, where my focus now is not in how my wife pleases me, but what can I do to please her every day? And it's really amazing because it becomes reciprocal. See, when you give unto others, it always comes back to you. The more you give, the more you get back. It's a principle that I built a multi-million-dollar restoration company with. We took 10% of our profits off the top. People thought we were crazy. I said, look, I'm an accountant and I've made millions of dollars counting. And I'm going to tell you this. If I was going to base my contribution on my profits, I would be very creative. And my contribution will be minimal. But if I based it up on the top, I took away any options for me to be creative. And honestly, that 90% came back 10 times fold what 99%, if I would have kept it, would have come back. So look at your modern view of romance. Look at the word Hesed. Get yourself a Bible, look through it. Not as a religious book. I remember I told you when I first began to read the Bible, I was an atheist. I read the Old Testament as war stories, as a historical book. I love it. And then I began to read the New Testament as a book of morals. Because moral people don't steal, rob, and cheat, and sell drugs. So therefore, my mindset began to change. If all you do is look at Bugs Bunny every day, every time you look at someone, you're going to say, what's up, doc? But if what goes into your eyes, into your brain, and settles in your heart is positive, then you begin to construct a brand new mindset. And you begin to look at the world in a total different way. And you look at the world in a positive way. And things change. So I urge you, look at your framework for romance. Sit down, write it down. What have you based romance on? What you expect of that other person. And if you all of a sudden look at that constructively and you base it on that Hesed, that unconditional love of God, the way he loved me when I was unlovable, the way he gave me a desire to love others. I used to give millions of dollars, thousands and thousands every Friday to people to help them, but it was only to make me feel good. It wasn't unconditional. Now, when through my foundation we send hundreds and thousands of books to prison, I feel good. And and it's a lot of money. We have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars doing that. I could do a lot with that money. But the truth of the matter is, I could not do one single thing that will bring me as much joy as I get from knowing that I'm giving somebody hope. I'm giving somebody the knowledge that there is faith, that no matter how screwed up your life is, no matter how bad your life has become, you can change. You can become better. There is a God who forgives, whoever that God is to you. And there is redemption. Your life does not have to end the way that it has begun. Your life does not have to end the way it is right now. But this I promise you, unless we decide to change, and change quickly, every day is not promised. The only day that we really have that is promised is today. I spoke to a very, very wealthy man that I love dearly, very good friend of mine, at 9 o'clock in the morning, 54 years old. At 10 o'clock in the morning, he was dead. All his million didn't go with him. As a matter of fact, I went to a funeral and I parked my plane right next to his big old jet, and I went to his beautiful home on the ocean and looked at the big old yacht that he had. And then we went to the church and I saw him in an urn, ashes. All that stayed behind. All of this the world has to offer you, my brother, my sister, stays behind. Can't take none of it with us. But what we can take with us is that Hesed love. That love that no longer looks at what others can do for us, but what we can do for others. Be blessed. Go love others. There's tremendous joy. And for me, there's eternal reward, immense in heaven. Be blessed.